Did you know that a later school start time has a massive improvement of grades? Resolved. If the school set a later school start time, it can be very beneficial to the students. Reasons are: 1, massive improvement of grades; 2, improved attendance and a cutback in tardies; and 3, teens actually able to focus in class. Today we hope we persuade you that a better school start time is very beneficial to students.
Getting more sleep gives teens many physical and mental benefits. Obesity, depression, and traffic accidents often occur from kids that are sleep deprived or stressed. An article from the SIRS database states that lack of sleep may play an important role in poor judgment and decision making in young adolescents. Their studies have shown that kids normally go to sleep at the same time every night, regardless of what time they have to wake up in the morning. So the later the school starts, the more rest the kids will get and the more focused they will be on their studies.
If schools set a later school start time, teens will be more prepared for school. This will lead to increased attendance and a cutback in tardies. Sleepy students are more likely to be late, absent, inattentive in class, and less able to learn. Schools saw increased attendance and decreased studies after setting a later school start time. A reduction in tardies and increased attendance is very important for students because it means that they are spending more time in class and at school.
Later school start time will have a massive improvement of grades for teens. Little kids get enough sleep, don't you think teens should too? Staying awake longer than 18 consecutive hours and your reaction speed, short-term and long-term ability to focus on math processing starts to suffer. 2, schools have seen a big improvement of grades after they changed the time. 3, results showed improvements in grades and increased attendance among 9th and 11th graders. A late school start time will help teens focus on tests and homework regardless on what time they sleep, because they will actually be able to focus on their work.
We believe that school should not start at a later time. Yes, it would allow teenagers to sleep for longer, but it also brings up loads of other problems. Imagine a bunch of 14 and 15-year-olds driving on the roads during rush hour. Scary, right? Also, an earlier start time would encourage teens to go to bed early. That way we could start early and everyone would be happy. Starting later would push back all of the after-school activities. Teens already get home late enough. Pushing them back even farther would make them go to sleep even later. If school started at 9:30, it would confuse the teens and their parents because of the mixed up schedule as well as family time being cut off. Would there be enough time for homework? So, if starting school a couple hours later would be worth it. Later start school times affect people's after-school activities or plans. Students are not liking the later dismissal times because they are having to pick and choose which sports they will participate in. An article states that they are having to do that because the practice times are getting mixed up and scheduled at random times because of the later school start. Another reason why the students are disliking the later dismissal time is because it affects the hours they are putting into their jobs. If the students work less hours, they are getting paid less, which really impacts the high school students, for most of them are saving up for college. The last reason is that the students stated that since their after-school activities usually got moved to the morning, it defeats the purpose of even having a later school start anyways. Earlier start times will improve academic wellness. If school starts earlier, it won't push back after-school activities, and students won't need to be staying up late working on homework or studying. If there was a later starting time, it would affect the hours going into tutoring. Some students really rely on getting help from teachers after school, but if that would get taken away due to the limited time they have after school, their grades could go down, which leads me to my last point. If school starts later, students would begin to get stressed more. If you put stress with schoolwork, sports, or after-school activities, it can cause confusion in their lives. Should people risk their grades because of an hour or two later start? Later morning school start times affect transportation to and from school. Transportation issues affected attendance, learning, field trips, length of after-school activities, and other optional programs. Costs would skyrocket and the lower income families wouldn't be able to pay and get a ride. If you put more buses on the road near to rush hour, traffic will be miserable. Another reason is if you start school later, parents will already be at work and their older siblings will be at school. And elementary kids need guidance in the morning, like waking up, getting food, and making sure they get on the bus safely. Since the kids also have extra time in the mornings, most of the kids choose to waste their time using electronics. Teachers have noticed some violent behavior when the children get to school because of the things they have watched before arriving at school. Is a later start that important?
All right, now we have 2 minutes to prepare your rebuttals.
Oh, goodness.
Whoa,
Get closer.
that was so
So you think Bates is going to your point? Bates is going to on
Wait, there's another debate here. I think
suicide? No, it's just a
yeah, drama. No, I thought it was Caleb. We didn't. We weren't in. But what group were you?
For
He's drones.
No, for
oh, I was body cameras. I already debated. No, we were on Friday.
oh, it was body cameras. So drawing or
Carl, what did you guys argue? What was your debate about?
Social media.
Social media. No, Jaden, it was body cameras and social media.
Shoes have motors on them. Ben.
The shooting is good.
Are you doing track? Don't we get NMB?
Some of jazz band.
There's MMUs at physical.
We're gonna go listen to the
They're really active. I skipped.
All right, affirmative. You may deliver your rebuttals.
My opponent may have mentioned that sports will be moved to different times, but studies have shown that physical activity before learning can make your brain more active for learning the rest of the day. Going along with that, if you need to see a teacher after school, you can move that to the morning times before school, because you will have more time since you are moving the school time.
My opponent focused on the point that you get more focus during school time and that you get more time in the morning, but that defeats the purpose of having a later school start time. So, but after asking, in an article, people asked teachers if the later start time was necessary, and 16% said they got more rest. 84% said that they didn't like the later start time, thought it was unnecessary. So even though you're going in the morning, it defeats the purpose of having a later start time.
start time should be at 9:30 for student benefits. Students who got later start times have improved grades, not as many poor decisions, and weren't involved with drugs and alcohol. Do you think your children are getting enough sleep?
In conclusion, we believe that school starting later will affect our families and schedules around us. People don't have time after school because they might have back-to-back sports and they might have to choose between sports. Athletes that play multiple sports are shown to exceed in other physical activities, and starting later will not allow them to do that. Also, pushing back school starting time pushes back tutoring sessions and studying time for students. Then, if they don't have enough time to study, that causes stress on them. If they push back studying time, then grades may go down and schools will not be happy about the decrease of academic success. Lastly, transportation could be hard going to and from school. If kids miss the bus in the morning, which happens a significant amount of times, then there's no way for them to get to school because their parents would already be at work. Nelson Mandela said, "Education is the most powerful weapon, which you can